Today, everyone in Major League Baseball will wear number 42 to honor the legendary Jackie Robinson. On April 15, 1947, Robinson made his Major League debut at Brooklyn's Ebbets Field, breaking MLB's color barrier. He went on to win Rookie of the Year en route to a Hall of Fame career with the Dodgers. Ball players have donned Jackie's number on this date every year since 2004 to commemorate that historic day. Every team has retired number 42. This year, more than 100 players are taking the extra step of donating their day's salary to the Players Alliance. Among them, David Price of the Dodgers, Jason Hayward of the Cubs, and Jackie Bradley Jr. of the Brewers. The Players Alliance is a group of current and former MLB players dedicated to improving black representation in the game. For more on Jackie's legacy and the state of baseball and Black America, I want to turn to Bill Rhoden. He is a writer-at-large for The Undefeated and a former award-winning columnist for the New York Times. Bill, welcome. It's a great honor to have you with us. So,
hey, Tanya,
Jackie's importance... I'm great. Thanks so much. Jackie's importance to baseball is without question. And on this Jackie Robinson Day, what part of his legacy is at the forefront of your mind?
Yeah, well, let me just say this. I want to keep Jackie in the here and now. We just came off the piece of the emotional events in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And let me just say this. That's where Jackie Robinson would be today. If Jackie were alive, he would be in Minnesota. He would be right there. He would be right there addressing the crowd because that's that's what Jackie Robinson was about. And I know this is going back, but I think the importance of Jackie Robinson is to put him in the here and now. He was a humanitarian, and he put himself wherever justice needed to be. And I guarantee you, if Jackie Robinson were alive today, he would be in Minneapolis. He would have been in Ferguson. I know he would have found, because of everything he had to go through, he would be front and center in this whole justice movement of athletes. And I guarantee he would be enraged. He would be talking to police departments. He'd be in front of Congress. That's where he would be. So I know that today we're reflecting and the money that the athletes are giving, but Robinson was a warrior for human rights, and he would be where the action is and where the injustice is. He would be in Minnesota. He would have been during the run-up to the election. He would have been in Georgia. He'd be in Georgia today because that's where he was born. So it's a very fitting day, and it's a fitting day to not only remember him, but to connect the dots, to not just remember him because of what happened in the past, but what he would be doing now. And if you are committed to Jackie Robinson's memory, if you really are committed to it, you would be committed to justice. You would be committed to being wherever injustice is being played out.
So speaking of connecting the dots to present day, you recently wrote a column today talking about what's going on in Georgia. And we all know that MLB has moved the AllStar Game in protest of Georgia's restrictive voter law, a measure which many experts say will disproportionately impact Black Americans. And in your column today, you say that's a move that would have pleased Jackie Robinson himself, moving MLB out of Georgia. Why do you think Jackie would have welcomed this move, and as a whole, how do you evaluate the league's response to the Black Lives Matter movement?
Yeah, I think he would have, because he was a person of action. If you look at everything he went through, what he went through shaved years off of his life. And so he was about action. And I think that what he would have liked, his last public appearance was to basically, one of the last things he said was that he would be much happier when there's a Black manager in baseball. And I think that he would really have been pleased that baseball went beyond this sort of ceremony and said, you know what, we're going to take our All-Star Game out of a state, Jackie Robinson's state, a state that is still trafficking in imposition and nullification. He would have been, I think he would have been really, really proud. And as was I. I mean, well, proud might be a little, but I think that today it gets beyond ceremony. And I think that all of us, as we get older, you know, let's get past the ceremony. We need the forces of evil and the forces of violence to keep people down and just suffocate rights are alive and well. And this day is a reminder we need those of us who are for peace and justice and equality. We have to be as vigilant. We have to be as determination. And that's what Jackie Robinson was about and would be about today.
So, as you know, the overall participation numbers for Black players in the game are not great. In 2020, just a shade under 40% of ball players were people of color, according to the Institute of Diversity and Ethics in Sport. But just 7.5% of players are Black, down from a high of 19% 25 years ago. Now, we mentioned the Players Alliance as a group of current and former Black players trying to increase opportunities for the Black community in baseball and beyond. What is the Players Alliance doing to reach that goal, and are you hopeful they will achieve it? You know, and I want to point out that baseball as a sport is seeing a little bit of a decline in popularity compared to some other sports. So I'm just wondering if you want to address that.
Well, I'm not sure what everything the Player Alliance is doing, but part of it is just the fact that, basketball has just gotten so humongous. And the National Football League and college football, it's just gotten so huge. And there's so many role models in that sport. Baseball basically sort of took his eye off the ball. And frankly, I think that if baseball had really wanted Black folks, young Black folks in the game, I think they would have made sure they're in the game. You know, remember, baseball is probably one of the few sports, of the major sports, where the young white athlete still has a pathway to be a dominant force. That's not the case in big-time football or professional football. It's not the case in the NBA. So in some ways, it's sort of this one final sanctuary, you know. So I think that that's part of what's going on, and I think it's dug itself a hole. I don't know if it will ever. Catch up. Actually, I think you'll probably see the numbers go up a little bit in the next 10 years because baseball actually is a great deal. I mean, if I had a child who could play baseball, football, basketball, I'd say go to baseball because it's the best deal. But and it's also, you know what I'm saying? But it's also got to be very, very, it's a very expensive sport. It's a really expensive sport.
Right.
And right. I think there are a lot of things, but I just think baseball kind of
But I think you kind of, you sort of put your finger on one of the issues, which is that if you're a talented athlete, you can go in a lot of different directions, right? We've seen talented athletes cross over sports all the time. So you kind of choose the sport that speaks to you the most if you can play various sports, correct?
Yeah. And like I said, when I grew up back in the day, as they say, we played. Everything was available, baseball, football. But now, and I think that this is, baseball is just, and hockey, are really, really, really expensive sports to play. The equipment, hitting coaches and all that kind of stuff. And then when you go to college, you can get a full scholarship playing football and basketball. That's not really the case in baseball. It is. I mean, when you look around, but so I just think that there are a lot of mitigating factors, but you need to see more Black managers, more Black executives, that kind of thing, But trust me, if any of you folks out there listening, if your son is a three-sport person, choose baseball. Baseball.
You heard it from Bill Rhoden, okay? You heard it from the source.
Baseball.
All right, well, Bill, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate all your insight on this Jackie Robinson Day. Thanks so much.
Pleasure's mine. Baseball.